Hi, everybody. Welcome to Places from the Swamp. Welcome, my lovely guest, Helen, Irish Granny Tarot, and Nathe, Mystical Tarot of the Saints, author, and a psychic and clairvoyant. And
Thank you.
this is Nate's. These are his cards.
I was trying to get my cup.
They're beautiful. I love these cards.
Thank you.
So, sorry, y'all. We got to talking about my little deal with YouTube right now. And they unmonetized me because I broke the rules. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So,
The rules.
Yes.
for those of you who like to do quick little super chats or, thank you chat, $5, $10, just go to my Venmo or my PayPal. I'll get the full amount there anyway. On YouTube, I only get like 60%.
Oh,
They keep 40% of it, So,
Really?
yes.
Oh my God. It gets worse and worse every
Yeah.
I hear. The more I hear. Oh my God.
I mean, it's the only thing I think I would worry about remonetizing is just so I can roll out memberships. But
mhm.
then I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe I should just go to the Patreon page that I started and put my memberships on there, and they can do it from
That's a
Patreon.
solution. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
solution.
Yeah, if I don't get a decent response from them, then that'll be my fallback. I
Backup.
do have a fallback, so it's like I have a plan B in case this doesn't work. But
I keep toying with the idea of monetizing. I hate those commercials, and I resent watching them on other people's channels. I don't want to cause any kind of angst.
well,
I just
and
hate
we
them.
no longer have control over the
Oh, see,
commercials.
I can't. It just gets worse. The more I hear, the worse it gets. It's just,
Um, um,
ugh.
But I believe that you don't have to monetize to
you
get
don't.
commercials on your videos, anyways.
Yeah, it depends on the
Yes,
person watching.
You mean they'll just add commercials randomly?
it doesn't matter if you monetize or not. On
Yeah,
your shows, on your videos, sometimes I get commercials.
You
see,
do?
I don't
Mm-hmm.
get commercials anymore because I decided to pay for YouTube Premium. It's like $13 a month or something, and then I don't have to deal with commercials or anything like that. But yeah, everybody now gets commercials.
Yeah, it
Everybody.
doesn't matter.
I've never seen. I don't watch all my videos. I watch for sound. Are
Yeah.
you kidding me? Oh, now
No.
I'm mad. Now I am mad.
Okay, we pissed off
Oh.
Helen in the first 5 minutes, so
That was a rant.
Excuse me while I
Yeah.
go rupture a blood vessel.
well, hi
Damn.
everybody. Thank you for coming today. I see we have Patricia, we have Chris, we have Mandy, we have Alice, we have Sixes. Oh, that's a new name. Hi, welcome. um, and we're gonna do some political and cultural readings today. If you have a question and would like to pop it into the chat, please put it all in caps so that my blind eyes will see it. Because I spent over 3 hours last night going through videos trying to find which ones were breaking the rules according to YouTube. Because all they showed for proof was one 30-second promotional video.
Well, Sherry, Louisiana has a long and storied history of criminality. I'm just saying.
Yeah. We got stuff I got a
Oh
bone to
God.
pick. So
Yeah.
hi Marjorie. So yeah. Thank y'all for coming. I will be back tonight at 11 o'clock for the Night Owl Slumber Party. And tonight is Ghost Story night.
Oh.
Oh, I didn't know
Uh,
you did that. Oh, so it's 9
this will be a
o'clock.
first.
It's
No,
11 o'clock.
this
11
will be
o'clock Central. Okay.
that would be 9 p.m. your time.
Write that down.
I don't know what time it'll be for you, Nathan. Probably the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night, but it's perfect
Yeah.
for ghosts, though. Oh,
Yeah,
I have
go.
something to
You'll
say.
set your alarm, right?
David is
Yes.
the time the time I had put aside to gather the information I wanted for tonight's show, I was going to do last night, which instead turned into 3 hours of trying to find where the hell did I break the rules, so it'll be choppy tonight. We'll wing it. I have a little
Talking
time
about
this
ghosts.
afternoon.
Talking about ghosts, I went to see the Tarot movie yesterday.
What tarot movie?
There's a movie coming out. I mean, it's here. I think it's in the US pretty soon, and it's called the Tarot movie. And so it is a scary
I gotta
horror
Google that.
movie. Yep. I don't think it's
Keep
great,
talking.
but it is interesting to see how they used some of the major arcana in the movie to tell stories about a group of. I don't want to tell the whole movie. Of
Yeah,
course,
don't
but
spoil it.
It's called
but
tarot. Is all it's called.
I think
Might be
it's
different.
called
Might be different in Europe as it is in.
Yeah, but
yeah.
I think it is the Tarot movie.
Okay.
The Tarot movie.
Okay.
And it is a group of friends, and one person is a reader, and she does readings for their group of friends, and basically things happens in the movies, kind of in connection with what the readings were.
Probably why I won't use a Ouija board anymore, because when we created our own Ouija board and everybody was trying to play with it and wouldn't do anything. They were like, Sherry, come over here.
Yeah.
And I put my fingers on it and that damn planchette took off. I mean,
yeah. Have you had negative experience with Ouija board, Nate?
Long time ago. I wouldn't say negative, but scary.
Me too. My husband won't let me have one in the house. Yeah, he's like,
my mother found out and she was like, take that out, dump salt on
burn it. Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And of course my mom was psychic too,
Yeah.
So she was like, no, that's not going to be in my house. And I mean, nothing like bad happened, but it was just scary.
Yeah, too real.
And it was, I mean, everybody was like laughing, saying, quit pushing it. I'm like, I'm barely hanging on to the damn thing. What do you mean pushing it?
Well, you know how they say you have to invite a vampire in? They just don't come in. I think the larger perspective on that is you can invite energy you may not necessarily want to offer coffee to. You just, you don't want to do that. Yeah.
And I knew nothing about the psychic world or the ghost world. I mean, I'd grown up with it, sort of, kind of. I knew, like, my mom, my aunt, my grandmother, they all had abilities. I knew I had abilities, but I pretended they didn't exist. We had lived in haunted places. I watched a damn poltergeist attack my mother, throw her across the room when I was 12. So...
Oh, my God.
I mean... It's like, you can't tell me there's no such thing as ghosts. I've seen them in action. So it was one of those things that Sixes says, Nathe, you have your wings on again. The way your chair.
No. That's his halo and his aura.
And his wings.
Well, the chair, yeah. That's so funny.
But, it's a great chair.
It looks like a good chair too.
Yeah,
I have
very comfortable.
Sticking out back here.
Rub it in. I'm sitting in a folding chair from Costco with a pillow under it, and it's miserable. It's terrible.
I'm sitting in a cushion chair because my son bought me one for Christmas 2 years ago. So
okay, I'm going to send your son my address. I just had a birthday and an anniversary, and Mother's Day is coming up. So we timed nothing properly, but anyway. Oh no, that's terrible.
Yeah, the movie is listed as horror comedy.
Oh.
Okay.
Way more horror than comedy. Yeah, it's scary. I mean, there's blood.
Yeah. That's not subtle enough. I like to have some,
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's like my mind can create scarier scenarios than any movie producer can put on the screen. It's like, you don't need to draw me a visceral picture to look at. I don't need to see blood spurting. Brain matter flying. I don't need that. I can imagine that.
Can I recommend a movie? I never recommend movies anymore. I love movies, but I do not care about superheroes, and there's nothing else, So it's been a long time since I've seen a movie that I've just been, oh, wow, this is a fabulous movie. Might not be everybody's piece of cake, but it finally got to the streaming thing. I don't know if it's Prime or Netflix. I can't remember. It's called The Holdovers. No? Oh, good. I can tell you a little bit. It's takes place in 1971-ish, maybe 72, which is prime my era, and I remember, and I went to a girl. Well, I was in high school, and I went to a girls' boarding school. I did not board. We were poor. I was like the token poor student. But it was, snazzy kind of boarding school. And I hung around my friends who lived in the residential building. And this movie did a really good job of capturing the look and the feel of the time without looking like a historical movie. Do you know what I mean? You felt like you were there. And it's the story of a teacher who gets stuck staying in the dorm residence with a handful of students who can't go home for Christmas. And Paul, I'm going to get his name wrong. Paul Giametti, is that his name?
Oh, I know who that is.
He plays the teacher. Genius, absolutely genius, and it's a subtle movie. It's not like
body or something like that.
So nothing blows up, nobody gets killed. It's about relationships, and the kid. There's two protagonists. There's him as the teacher, and there's a student who's the main student it focuses on. It's a beautiful story. It's funny. It has tension. I loved it.
I'm gonna look that up and see if
loved it.
Netflix in my Max. They don't have HBO anymore. It's Max now.
And I just saw another one that I could recommend. Maybe not quite as enthusiastically, but it was good. It's called The Judge. Robert Duvall and Robert Downey Jr. So how could it fail, right?
I saw that years ago when it came out.
No, isn't it new? I thought it was brand new.
No, it came out probably about 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh, well, I'm on top.
It came out, and then it came on to I don't know, Stars or HBO or one of them. And
I don't know.
It was funny. It was.
You know me. I have my finger on the pulse of popular culture, so it's no surprise I didn't know.
Oh my God!
Nothing blows up in this movie either. Fancy that.
I tend to stick to superhero movies because the good guy always wins. And I get my explosions and I get this and that and the other. And I don't have to worry about too many blood, guts, and gore because
pure escapism, right? Pure escapism. Yeah.
Pure fantasy. I will go watch Captain America any day of the month.
Well, now see, my favorite movies are based on history and have lots of character interaction. Like my favorite movie, other than my top favorite, Sophie's Choice. I really intense movie. Yeah. What about you, Nate? Have you seen something, besides the tarot movie?
Tarot?
Nothing recently. Haven't really taken time to watch interesting movies that are really worth talking about here.
Yeah,
it was a long time I've been to the movie theater, and I just did it because it was the tarot, and I was just curious about kind of what the general public would see about the tarot, and it's
scary, right?
Yes, it's so not what it is, but
The last movie I saw in the theater was the Avengers Endgame, which was the final movie of the 10-year series of movies, and they were all together, and I mean, it was a fantastic movie. You laughed, you cried, people were jumping up in the theater and screaming, I mean, it just everything from now to something bad happening to people screaming yay when something good happened. I mean, it was such a visceral movie that the audience was physically reacting. I mean,
wow.
I didn't even realize that I did it a couple of times.
Embarrass yourself.
My son was like, "Mom, you realize you were
sit down?"
I'm like, "No, I wasn't." He was like, "Yes, you were," because I went out the theater and I was tears streaming down my eyes.
Wow.
Even though it had a happy-ish ending, there was still a lot of sadness resolved in that ending. And then the last movie I watched was Black Widow, which is the one that they did on Scarlett Johansson's character. They finally did her movie, but it didn't get released to the theater. They just released it straight on Disney. And I saw that one, and then I watched the documentary that Peter Jackson did on the Beatles' last album. And it was like a 4, 5, 6-part documentary where they went back through archival footage and music, and with the help of AI, they're now able to do things with like removing voices from something or pulling out a voice to use it elsewhere. But it was just a beautiful job because he went in, he found archival footage that no one had ever seen, that the 2 remaining Beatles didn't even know existed.
Oh, wow.
And, and he had the blessings from Paul and Ringo. So it's like, well, if they're behind it, then I'll watch it. And it was really good. And it was all about that last album they made. And then the final live performance they gave, which was on the roof.
On the roof, yeah, on the roof of the studio, yeah. And, so what's your favorite movie? Trick question.
That's a hard one because I like so many different kinds of movies.
Yeah.
It just kind of depends on my mood. Like the Kentucky Derby's today. So for the next 11 weeks, we're going to be in horse season with races. So I tend to watch Secretariat over and over and over again because I saw Secretariat run back in 1970, 71, 72, 73. I don't remember now what year. But I got to see Secretariat run. And so it just always...
Yeah.
He was just a phenomenal horse that did things that horses shouldn't be able to do, and it just, and everybody knows the stories. They know how the ending is, but the way the director did it, they did it around the woman who owned him and how she entered this world that was back then very much boys club only and made her mark. Because she believed in her horse and she won it all because of it, but she had to fight everyone from her husband on down to do what she knew was the thing that she needed to do. And it's a really, really good story on just the relationships and the involvement of dealing with this horse and parents dying and all this kind of stuff that from back in, I think the movie starts in 69, 68, 69. I mean, women couldn't have a bank account back then. They couldn't have credit cards.
They couldn't have a bank account when I remember.
They couldn't own anything, so it was all about how she broke a lot of these molds.
Yeah.
And said, no, we're going to do it my way. She had to fight her brother. She had to fight her husband. She had to fight the boys' clubs, and it's so I tend to watch that movie a lot during horse racing season because I love to watch the horses run. I don't bet on them, but I just like to see them run. You know.
What about you, Nate? Do you have a favorite one?
Yes, I was trying to remember the name of the producer, but the title of the movie is Big Fish.
Oh, that rings a bell.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a very famous producer, but I keep trying to remember his name, but someone who can Google it will find it. But I love this movie because it's part reality, part fantasy, and it's really about storytelling through the generations. There's a dad dying with a son and telling stories from the past, and some of those stories are how we remember the past and made up and fantasized, and it's very, very, very well made. And
Who's in it?
I don't remember. Like I'm not into like
Yeah.
names of
I think
but
overall, though, my most favorite movie over all of them is the original, the first Wonder Woman movie that came out.
Wonder Woman. You identified.
That's my girl, man. But when they redid the movies, the Wonder Woman movies with the actress that plays her now, that first movie where it was just about her was really, really good. I mean, they were able to tie in a lot, and the fact that it was a woman director, a woman producer, a woman leading the cast. Most of the scenes were the Amazons, which were all women. And
It's amazing how much of a difference that makes, isn't it? With women doing it, yeah.
because the male actors and the men that worked on the set or was acting with them were like, there were scenes done that as they watched them happening, they were like, I never thought I would see that.
Different perspective, yeah.
Women in that,
Yeah.
Women
Yeah.
of power charging
Yeah.
on horses to attack in battle and, this and that. It was really very well done. Very well done. And so that's one I can watch over and over and over again.
Do we have any questions yet? Has anybody asked any questions?
Not particularly yet.
They just like to hear us yak.
Yeah. We did have a couple people pop in that I haven't said hello to yet. We had Lisa DeMars, Rose, and Starhawk, who says, Helen, you're really loud, but you can't hear me and Nate. So
my volume is not very high. How's that?
That's actually even on my.
Is that better? I can hardly hear you guys, but that's okay.
Really?
I talk again.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
No, I have to use my headphones.
Okay. What about me?
Okay. I've got my earbuds in too.
Yep.
Both of you are very muted, but I can hear you well enough. It's fine. I don't want to blow people's eardrums. Of course, either my microphone is always either too loud or you can't hear anything.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you thank you for letting us know.
Who just told me that? Lisa,
by the way, the movie Big Fish is from Tim Burton.
Oh, right. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, what's the one? What's the one he did? The really strange one that I loved.
Okay.
Beetlejuice.
Right. I'm going back to see who I missed to say hello to real quick, because I like to say hi to everybody. Makes them feel good. I know it makes me feel good if I'm watching someone and they say hey to me. If they pick me out of the group and say, hey, Sherry, so that makes me feel nice. Hi, Karen. Hi, Louise. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Carl. Oh, I got a Carl. That's a new name. Hi, Carl. Welcome. That was my late husband's first name was Carl. It's actually my son's first name was Carl.
With a K or a C?
With a C. And he's with a C. So, Carl with a C. My late husband's first name was Carl. My son's first name is Carl, but we call him Louis by his middle name after his granddaddy. Welcome. And people are just hanging out.
Well, do you guys have questions? I have questions.
I have a couple of items I would like us to read on, just because they made me mad as hell when I read them.
Oh, good. My favorite.
So I printed them out and highlighted. The first one is here in Louisiana. We are in congressional map election crisis chaos.
Oh, God.
Because what was it? 2 years ago, the state was told you have to redraw your maps to be more representative. Now, at that time, there were just 5 districts, only 1 black district, right? So they had grouped as many black people all into 1 district as they could to keep them out of the other districts. And a new map was drawn, and it was drawn in such a way that it was able to split that and make 2 black districts, or black dominant districts. I mean, there's other people that live in them too, but
yeah,
they're predominantly black people. And most of them are the New Orleans up to Shreveport kind of zone, you know. Well, the federal court had a 3-judge panel which issued a 2-1 decision on Tuesday. The 2 that voted to strike out this new district were the ones put in there by Trump, and the one that dissented was elected by Bill Clinton. So we can see where this is going, right? They're saying that the new second black majority district was unconstitutional because of an impermissible racial gerrymander. Like, they haven't been doing that for years.
What?
Like, you know, it's like, excuse me, you already have 4 districts that are predominantly white that you made sure you looped all the black people into one, so they would have a smaller voice.
Yeah, it's like an amoeba defines the map areas. You know, it's all you know.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the court has scheduled a status conference at 10:30 a.m. on Monday. That's May 6th, Monday, to discuss what's next for the state. Because evidently we have a deadline that the maps have to be in place. Where was that date again? We have a May 15th deadline to get the new maps drawn and in place for the 2024 election. Or we will be the only state going into the election with no districts.
How does that even work?
We would lose all of our representatives. If there's no districts, they can't run. We would not have state representatives or federal representatives. If there's no districts, that representatives are assigned to their district.
So there'd be no Louisiana federal representatives in the House of Representatives. Well, does that mean Mike Johnson would be out? He's from Louisiana, right?
Yeah, he's from
Well, see, every cloud has a silver lining.
He's from Shreveport, which is in part of this new map.
Wow.
The Louisiana Attorney General Liz Morrell told USA Today Network Thursday she expects to file a motion with the panel by Friday to permit the state to implement the rejected map pending an appeal of its verdict to the U.S. Supreme Court. So we'll have something in place kind of as an emergency. This is what was drawn. This was what the governor signed off on. Our MAGA governor signed off on this new map. Okay. Said, okay, fine. Who was it? I think I forgot to. Anyway, so the NAACP has come out with other civic organizations and have filed a notice of appeal with the Supreme Court, asking it to allow the rejected map to remain in place as an emergency remedy for the 2024 election. They're looking at, of course, the Republican side is saying, well, there's not enough time for, we can't allow this, but there's not enough time to redraw a map. We need to stick with what we had before. No, what we had before is the map that's in place right now because the governor signed off on it, our new governor. So they can't even blame it on the Democratic governor that just left office. It says the federal panel could commission what's known as a special master to draw a new map it would find acceptable, but they would have less than
2 weeks. 10 days.
10 days.
10 days.
10
Get that
days.
done. So, at stake are the political careers of the incumbents and scope of representation for the state's Black voters. The plaintiffs that successfully challenged the map, the right, by attacking the new majority Black 6th congressional district boundaries, contended that the factors drove the map, which includes protecting powerful incumbent Louisiana Republican U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson, Majority Leader Steve Scalise, he's the one that got shot in the baseball game,
Yeah.
and Julia Letlow, a member of the Appropriations Committee for the federal government. She's also a representative. So those are 3 Republicans right there that would be put on the chopping block with the new districts. Because now they're going to have to, from my understanding, they're going to have to run to get these Black votes.
Is this all about getting rid of Mike Johnson?
I don't think so. People down here, the ones on the right,
Don't know who he is.
yeah, they like him. It's the rest of us with a brain that's like, there's something really wrong with this man and his wife. In my opinion, only YouTube for entertainment purposes.
Not just your opinion.
I'm just giving my political opinion. What do I know? So it also puts into flux the new current 6th district congressman, who is also a Republican, because it would get rid of his district. He would no longer have a position. Okay? So they're even hurting their own people doing this. So I figured they must have something promised to them to not fight it too much. It says last year, a federal appeals court signaled it would uphold Baton Rouge Middle District Judge Shelley Dick's earlier ruling requiring Louisiana's previous congressional map be redrawn to include a second majority Black district out of 6 to comply with the Voting Rights Act to make it a more fair breakdown. The Republican-dominated legislature complied, and Jeff Landry, our new governor, signed it into law back in January, only to now have it thrown out by this 3-judge panel 10 days before deadline to have your maps in place and submitted.
So what are we going to ask the cards?
So my question is, will the NAACP be successful in keeping this 6th district for a more fair representation of Louisianians? Because I don't care what color they are, but there needs to be, we don't need to be putting people from all over crammed together, just so you don't have to deal with the second district, So that's my first question: is will the NAACP be successful in getting this new map to stay? Oh boy. Okay. Whoever would like to go first may.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So first card is the Lovers. To me, this is about relationships. It's about who you know, how you can deal with, your friends, making sure that you cover each other's. Queen of Coins. It's about interests, personal interests. This is not about the greater good of the people. Two of Coins in this card, for me, this is about negotiation. This is balancing the arrangements between the parties who have the power, and also those relationships. Three of Cups for me is a celebrations, but I feel on the Republican side that they will somehow not keep this more fair mapping, but go back likely or to a different arrangement, either go back to the one that has only the one district with African Americans, or finding a little compromise about something else, but that would not change the picture. I'm afraid that the two areas with more Democrat leaning votes will not stay. It feels very conservative arrangement behind the scenes.
Okay.
I wish it would be different, but
should I go?
Go ahead. Yeah.
The Five of Cups. There's this. We asked specifically about the NAACP, right?
Yeah.
They're unhappy. They're not in a good place emotionally. They're going to continue to be in that bad place. The Fool reversed, this attempt is going to be stymied, and the Three of Swords. I don't think they're going to be. I don't think that the representation of the voice of Black people, the NAACP, I don't think that they will be successful in advocating. I think you're right, Nate. There's too much power. Collusion.
Yeah. Deals being made behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I mean, we see a celebration, so they're celebrating.
Yeah.
They're going to make it work for themselves. Yeah. Sure.
Okay, I started with the Eight of Staffs. So this is like do something and do something now.
Yeah.
This is hurry up and go. Followed by the Nine of Staffs reversed. So this is not very good. There's a real good chance that they're going to get shut down.
Yeah.
And not just because they're not part of the good old boy network. But then it ends with the Ace of Swords. So, I mean, you could kind of look at this as they will prevail, but I'm just feeling like this is kind of going for the other side.
Well, the swords are about justice and the law. And if you want to take it literally to the justices,
That's true. That's true. I didn't think about it in that light.
It's getting bad with that Supreme Court. I mean, it's been bad for a long time, but it's getting so blatant. It's just mind-boggling.
Okay. Yeah. All right. To stay in sync with Louisiana right now, one of our first questions from Pat Spicer was, so what is up with the state of Louisiana? This governor and his minions are up to something not so good, are they going to be successful? Right now, our governor and attorney general are in a big push to have our state constitution rewritten. And part of the scuttlebutt that's being talked about is that so it will diminish the rights of women and minorities in the state. They will not have the same rights as white people. And
Pat, I hate to say this, but it's not just Louisiana. This is Project 2025. I push this, go to the Republican Party website. The whole thing is spelled out, what they plan to do. Go to Substack, Andra Watkins. She has a whole Substack, how Project 2025 will ruin your life or will destroy your life.
And remember that our Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, is a big proponent.
Because it's a white Christian nationalist project.
Right.
And he's a lunatic, allegedly. Entertainment purposes.
Got to start remembering to say that phrase more often.
Keep in mind, Louisiana is the granddaddy of political machines. Huey Long, ring a bell?
Oh, yeah, talk about. We had a Democratic governor, another Edwin Edwards.
Yeah.
He was governor for a long time, which is why they finally implemented terms.
Yeah, get rid of him. Yeah.
Now, he was crooked as hell and did a lot of backdoor dealing.
Didn't you say he was a politician?
Yeah. In Louisiana. But just about everything that he did that was underhanded, he did it to help the citizens of Louisiana. So most people were like, yeah, but he's helping me out. He's getting me a job. He's making it easier to this, that, and the other. So they kind of turned a blind eye to him until the feds finally came after him and he went to prison. So,
Pretty soon, the center of the government will no longer be Washington, D.C. and the Capitol building. It'll be at the federal lockup because all of the politicians will be together in the pokey.
So if anybody's ready, go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead, Nate.
I don't want to go first.
Okay, I'll go.
Okay, go.
This is part of, what did I say? Project 2025, part of a larger plan. Every attack from every direction, every possibility over many years that they can think of, driven by the kings of cups, driven by these donor people for whom this is a really important thing. This is part of a larger project. They have a lot of religious conviction tied up in it, or so they say. It means a lot to people who are powerful in the background, and I don't think this is going to actually turn out well for the state of Louisiana. I get the Five of Pentacles and death. I think there's going to be change for the worse. So I'm sorry. I feel like Eeyore, but that's what the cards say.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. Kind of reaching the same conclusion that you have, Helen. First card is the Seven of Wands, a card of illusion. It is very clear that they are trying to manipulate the crowd to do what they want to do. So the manipulation and the illusions that they're going to put in, I feel that there's going to be a lot of things that will be false truth, just pretending that they're doing something good, but it won't be. Seven of Swords, this is to reduce people's freedoms, frankly. And then also the Ten of Wands, you see, with the blindfold and the smoke screen. I don't like those three energies because they're telling me that they're basically putting a lot of falseness and illusions and lies and deceit,
Deception,
with restriction of freedom and liberties. The final card that I got from an oracle card also is very concerning. It says silence. Right. This is to stop people from expressing their views. I feel that based on what I see, this is also an attempt to restrict people's opinions, ability to free speech. And then I went again, and then you had death. I have the tornado here, which tells me that it's going to be a big change. I think this is serious. And this is, people should immediately be very aware, particularly challenging what they present as truths, because there will be deception and lies.
Yeah, don't believe what you hear. Yeah.
No.
Well, I started out with the 10 of staffs. So we're, that right there from, I had to stop and look it up. I was like, I forgot what that one meant. But this is basically, people have had enough.
The burden.
They pushed and pushed and pushed to the point that I think people down here who may not realize it just yet, but I think a lot of people are at their breaking point.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, enough is enough of this. Because then I get the 6 of Swords, which is saying, well, maybe it's time to just give up and walk away from this. But I end with the King of Swords, which to me, especially because this is St. George and the way the picture is depicted, this says to me, stand up and fight.
Yeah.
You're going to have to fight like hell to get what's right, or they're going to walk all over you. So it's breaking point. Look at all your options and then get ready to fight like hell for what you want.
Yeah.
That whole silence, you both got cards talking about them trying to silence people needing to speak up. So an alarming pattern here. In Washington State, they had a Republican convention just, I don't know, a week or two ago. And they actually stood up. I saw it on the news. This woman stood up and said, we don't want democracy. This country's not supposed to be a democracy. And not everybody should be voting. That was the message she had. And we certainly should not be voting for senators. And then went on to characterize the evolution of the history of the government and how it's structured, et cetera, completely incorrectly. And then look at what's happening on college campuses. Look what happened at Columbia University. I'm just saying, whatever happened to freedom of assembly? Whatever happened to freedom of protesting, to petition your government when you're not happy with what they're doing? It's all in the Bill of Rights, and they claim they're putting down violent demonstrations, except they didn't turn violent to the police. A very militarized police showed up and started setting off flashbang grenades.
And our governor just made a nice little speech the other day that students who are protesting over this need to be thrown out of school and arrested and locked up.
Because
they don't need to be protesting things they don't understand.
There are no words. There just are no words for
there's
this.
Not. I sit here and I think, okay, I know I'm fighting the good fight down here, but there are days when it's like, maybe it's time.
Sherry, I understand.
Yeah. It's heavy.
But
you feel like the voice in the wilderness, right?
Yeah. And the thing of it is there are a lot more people who are more kind of leaning left and far left here than is given credit to. It's just their voices have been stifled for so long that they've forgotten how to use it. I mean, there are still people who'll say, I'm a different tribe. In that way. You know, it's like they don't say it out loud.
Well, I think we're coming to a place that we have not been in the United States for a couple hundred years, where we're going to have to make individual choices about taking a stand on things. And I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about vocal public support or disagreement. We're going to have to let our desire, our voice be heard. And a lot of people are afraid to do that, justifiably so. and a lot of people, other people have a tendency. Look what happened in Nazi Germany as Hitler rose. Lots of people just kept their heads down and didn't say anything. They didn't agree, but they were afraid to stick their neck out. And, you know, you can only die once. I mean, in this lifetime, I can only die once. Yeah, and why are we here? Are we here to hide our light and not let our voices speak out for what's right, for justice, for fairness, for equality? Every person in this country deserves to be represented by a vote. Every adult person in this country, male, female, rich, poor, whatever your nationality, like, what do you call it? I couldn't think of the word, race. Whatever your religion, all that nonsense is irrelevant. Every single person in this country should be equal and have representation. And these people who are advocating within the government to get rid of that are very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
Time for us all to say stop. Not on our watch and not on our behalf.
You know, it's like, I mean, I was born in the Deep South. I grew up during the middle of the civil rights stuff. You know, my mom was big time into equal rights for everybody. So I remember, you know, all of the turmoil that went on. I remember when there were still signs on the doors of the water fountains that said white only or colored only, or, you know, that's in my memory. I never thought I would be fighting that fight again.
Yeah. Or women's rights.
Or for women's rights.
Or we actually thought marriage equality was a thing. Foolish us, right? I mean, it's just ridiculous.
And it's I think that there are people across this country, blue or red state, that are just getting to the point that they're tired of this very small faction of people who have the loudest voices, who've managed to buy into the press and get them to always cover them when they speak.
Mm-hmm.
People are getting tired of it. They're getting tired of having their rights taken away. They're getting tired of not having the press cover what their representatives say or what their stand on something is, and instead automatically, you know, showing them as being something bad or evil or wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, hence with the card I drew earlier, that people are just, I think, at a breaking point.
Yeah.
Right now, I know tomorrow morning I'm doing a show with Sylvia, Colorful Foresight. I'm going to be a guest on her channel. And we're going to spend the morning just talking about all the positive thing that Biden and his administration.
Good. Yeah.
And to point out, this is what you need to learn. These simple little tidbits of information, so that if somebody hits you with, well, he hasn't done anything for me. You got 5 items in your head you can rattle off and say,
absolutely right.
You didn't want to have infrastructure in your state. I mean, we're getting lots of jobs off of that. Y'all not doing that? Or, you know.
Well, a lot of the Republican politicians who voted against it are now taking credit for it. They went back home and said, see what I did for you in Washington. But, you know, the media are complicit, and that's all the more reason why we need to speak out. The media, Les Moonves, who was at the time, I think, the president of CBS, the big honcho, CEO of CBS, famously married to Julie Chen of Big Brother, which I think is Interesting, isn't it? Anyway, he said, this is often quoted when Trump was running, I think in 2020. He said, yeah, he's awful. I'm paraphrasing.
I'm listening.
Okay, he's awful, he's terrible, whatever, but he's great for ratings.
Yep. Because it's about the commercials, the money, the sensational.
Yeah, well, we live in a corporate-driven society. They are the new psychopathic dictatorships.
Well, you have journalists like Dan Rather and whatnot that are still around, who, I look so forward to his Substack when he writes stuff, because it just speaks of the truth, and there are so many journalists today that don't seem to have the foggiest idea of how to be a journalist. And
there's Tom Hartman.
Lose their job if they were a journalist. I mean,
Tom Hartman.
I look at Tom Hartman.
Frank Schaefer.
That's another good
Stefan
one.
Schwartz.
I
always get this name wrong. Robert Reich. Is it Robert Reich?
Yeah, Robert Reich.
Yeah.
He was the Department of was it Treasury or Labor under Clinton?
One of those weird departments nobody knows anything about.
Yeah, under Clinton, and did a fabulous job. He was one of the ones that helped Clinton get our budgets balanced.
Greg Olear. If anyone doesn't know Greg Olear, great podcast, prequel. That's not right.
I first saw him
Prevail.
on Zev.
Yes, I know who you mean. Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow! And then I saw him on with you, and I was like, holy crap! How did Helen get
I admire him so much. He's really thoughtful, and his guests are always interesting, and it's fun to listen to them. They're not dull. You know how some political conversations can just be kind of tedious. They're always fun, they're always interesting, but he's really astute, and in his Substack he digs deep. Plus, what I really like about Greg Olear is that he's from an English major background. He studied literature, and so he's always using examples from literature. And I think we must have had the same teacher at some point in the background, because there are always things that I remember we had to focus on, It just cracks me.
Covers, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
Pat, who asked the last question, was like, yeah, they've been pondering the pros and cons.
Oh.
And I get it. I was born here too. I was born and raised.
Yep.
Well, I mean, Texas, Louisiana, Florida on the Gulf Coast, but it's Louisiana is my home. I mean, that's
yeah.
And it's like, I like the area. I like most of the people that I deal with are good, hardworking people who don't really give a crap what color you are or what religion you are. You have your factions of the extremists, but it really kind of boggles my mind, the people that will speak about there needs to be equality, there needs to be this, they need to be that, and then they go out and they vote for Trump and people like him. It's like, okay,
they don't put two and two together. No.
Yeah, it's like complete, dissonance in what they're saying they want and what they're voting for.
And they prioritize, and sad to say, a very large number of people prioritize financial and economic choices. The problem is they're being lied to and they don't understand it.
For instance, and I've shared this numerous times last year, I have a very Republican right-wing cousin. We grew up together. And he literally called me on the phone one day in a panic. Oh my God, they're trying to take away my Social Security. And I'm like, who's trying to take away your Social Security? The Republicans. And I'm like, yeah, and he stopped, and he's like, how can you be so calm? How do you know that? I said, because they've been telling us they're going to do it for 50 years.
Yeah, like it's a surprise.
Yes.
I said, where have you been? I said, this has been the plan, their master plan for 50 years. And they've talked about it relentlessly. Do you not pay attention? I mean, I said, why do you think I only vote for Democrats? Because the one time I voted for a Republican turned out to be one of the worst things I ever did.
Worst mistake in your life. If you don't mind, I read cards for Pat. I pulled a couple of cards for Pat about like her conflict. So I got the Page of Cups. This is an emotional conflict coming from, you know, kind of a difficult emotional decision that has presented itself. And it's the Hierophant reversed. It's because of a lack of enlightenment and moral compass inside the structures of the traditional government, the way things should be. You know, she's looking at the leadership of the country and she's seeing this lack of moral compass, right? Yeah. And feeling really extremely burdened by it. Yeah. And the message is, hang in there, be strong. You're stronger than you feel like you are. And
I feel like I say that to more people than I can shake a stick at.
Don't be afraid.
Yes.
Don't be afraid. Like I said, you can only die once a lifetime. And so do you go down fighting for the right, for what's right? Or do you sit home in some nice neutral territory and watch things disintegrate and then come out the other end in this comfortable territory with no sense of what you've contributed and what you've stood up for?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
It's not easy. It's hard, but...
Yeah, it is hard. I mean, it's real easy for us to watch old-timey videos of the civil rights movement and the equal rights movement and the people that, you know, got beaten and killed and jailed and whatnot. Yeah. And say, oh, I would have been right there with them. It's like, no, because your butt's sitting in your house right now, afraid to say that you're a Democrat. You know,
I'll save y'all's seat in the gulag. I joke about it, but I think about these things. You know, I think lots of people in history have faced a similar moment where they've had to decide, where do I stand in this, and how much am I in? How all in am I?
Yeah.
And here's my fear. This is not our first rodeo. I believe in reincarnation, and I think we come to learn lessons. And when we're faced with something this huge, this like paradigm shifting dilemma, this is a real important lesson that this is why we're here. And I don't want to have to go through this again. I don't want to make the wrong decision and have to come back and do it again, because that's what happens, in my opinion. So I'd rather just like rip the Band-Aid off. Just do it. Just do the right thing. Get it over with and move on. It's my logic.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, and I know I have friends and stuff that live in Texas that just as it's almost worse. It's been worse there for the last 8 years because we've been lucky. We had a Democratic governor for the last 8 years. He was a very conservative, very Catholic Democratic governor, but nonetheless, he tried to do things that would make things better for everybody, you know, like accepting the Medicaid expansion and stuff like that. And now we have, you know, Mr. MAGA governor who's busting his butt to try to undo everything the former governor did as quickly as he can. You know, one of his first acts was to stop the program that's funded by the federal government. All they ask the states to contribute is 50% of the administrative cost to just run the program for lunches for school lunches for kids, even when there's no school. That every child in the state gets one hot meal a day, no matter if they're in school or out of school. They get a hot meal delivered to them every day. President Biden got that passed to be law. That's done. It's over with. Our new governor that's one of the first things that he decided, now we don't need to do that. We don't have the money for that. It's like, excuse me. Oh, he got a big pushback even from Republicans on that one, because there's a lot of poor Republicans down here that they rely on that program for their kids to get at least one decent meal a day.
And think about this. These are people that are sitting at home going like this. Do I get to keep a little bit of money in whatever political situation I'm in and just let children go to bed hungry? Does that seem like a good idea? Well, hang on. I can't decide because I have to go sit in the front row of the church today. I'll be back.
Yeah, it's like, do I keep the electricity on?
Pardon?
Or do I buy food? Do I keep electricity on, or do I buy food?
Oh, or take half for insulin because they can't afford it. Or yeah. So I just looked it up because I didn't want to lie. I overheard it yesterday and I wasn't sure if I remembered correctly. Florida has erased over 1 million people from its voting rolls for no reason. Not just, if you didn't vote in the last election, they erased you from the voting rolls on purpose. You know, some states you have to vote or you automatically removed, but they actively sought out people who didn't vote. I guess the logic is if you don't vote for DeSantis, if you don't vote, you probably didn't like the choices and you didn't vote for DeSantis or you didn't vote for Trump. So it would be safe to eliminate you completely.
Yeah, so, and that's something I've been telling everybody, go in at least once a week and make sure you're still registered to vote.
Yeah.
Because some states have a time limit. You have to get registered within X amount of days.
That's right.
Before the election. Some states can go in and register and then go place your vote right then.
And if you're seriously thinking, if you're thinking about moving and you're actually thinking about leaving the country, check your passport, because even if your passport is not due to expire soon, there are countries that will not let you in if your passport is within 6 months of expiring. Yeah. So it best to the beginning of the year that your passport expires, get the process rolling.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you got Texas who's either drowning or freezing to death because their legislatures won't let them get on the national grid for backup. You know, it's like,
well, Ted Cruz is too busy down in Mexico vacationing to worry about little things like the voters.
And they're too busy talking about we're going to be our own country. And it's like, okay, if that's the case, then what happens when the next hurricane hits?
I was just going to say, until FEMA needs to step in, and then they're all about it, right?
And if it gets to that point, then the U.S. government has every right to say, sorry, you're on your own. You wanted to be your own country.
I think I could be wrong about this because I did not go to law school, but I think it's against the law. States cannot just leave. They can't just say, we're out of here. I think that's why they fought against South Carolina.
Yeah,
you know, they started off the Civil War.
From the nation, it's illegal. It was put in the Constitution after the Civil War. And, I forget which amendment it is, but it's in there. They can't secede. So
it's kind of like I quit. No, you can't quit. You're fired.
You know, it's just like people used to say, don't quit, let them fire you, and then you can go collect unemployment.
Yeah.
Except nowadays, most places don't have unemployment, so you're screwed either way, you know.
Can I ask a kind of funny question for the cars? Can I ask you guys to read on this? An article I read this morning, and it's kind of funny, but kind of not. I guess it's not funny at all. I forget where it was now. There's some woman owns a petting zoo, and she had zebras in her petting zoo, and she had to transport 4 zebras someplace, and she had some sort of issue along the way. She had to pull over. Long story short, one of the zebras escaped, and it's still running loose, and they've been trying to catch it for a number of days. And I actually feel badly for this poor animal, because people are hunting the zebra with their dogs and their guns. I just
damn thing. I mean,
no, I don't think the intent is to shoot it. I think it's to protect themselves if the zebra goes rogue, you know. But
please.
I know. Well, exactly. The whole thing is just bat, you know what. But I wonder, are they going to be able to rescue this poor animal?
Well, let's read cards on it and find out. Let's get hop into the zebra. Somebody call it that one time. The zebra. They can put it the zebra.
Well, potato.
Yeah. So I just remember I'm sitting there watching this show, and I'm like, what the hell is a zebra? And
Were they English?
No, they were from another country, not England.
Oh, maybe they were from France.
Well, if that's the case, I probably would have recognized the word since I'm French, but you know, or part French anyway.
What? What did you get?
You want me to? Okay.
Yeah.
First, it's kind of funny. First card, the chariot. I mean, obviously, the zebra.
Right.
Has been running around.
Yeah.
You know, 2 of coins, 7 of staff. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
Right. I get that it's going to be very challenging to find it, but final card is the Ace of Cups. So I feel like with time they will be able to, but it feels like it's just going to be very tricky.
Well, I get this is the owner who's completely freaking out. You know, her investment, right? I didn't like this. And this is a different deck than the deck I used earlier. The 3 of Swords again. And I also got it's going to be hard work, and they're going to have to really put thought into it. This is not necessarily going to end well. What'd you get, Sherry?
Starting out with a 5 of staffs, so there's. I think there's people going to fight each other over who gets to claim they found the zebra. You know.
I wonder if they've offered a reward. Maybe that.
I don't know, but if she did, you know they're going to be fighting over it. Then I pull the 5 of coins, which is like, okay, that's not good. That's really kind of depressing when you think about it. That's destitute. So I'm hoping that's not the poor zebra. You know, but I end with St. Francis in the world.
Oh,
so I think that.
Oh, that's very heartening.
They're gonna find him, and St. Francis is
the saint of animals.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
And he sits in the Vatican right now. So I mean.
Well, you know what I read about St. Francis?
The Pope Francis. So
St. Francis and St. Catherine. They were pals, and they started their parallel orders. I read this the other day. I did not know this. I thought I had Franciscans teaching me when I was a kid. I thought I knew about them. They were Cathars. You familiar with the Cathars in France? Well, they were other places too, because St. Francis was Italian. But they were Cathars. They're kind of like the Essenes. They had this mystical attitude towards religion. They were all peace, love, and joy. They were kind of like hippies, and they defied gender roles, and they defied a lot of traditional attitudes in Christianity about, they were more like Jesus than like the Vatican. And it was genocide on the Cathars. They went after them, and they wiped them out. But a lot of wealthy kids, like these spoiled liberal children at all these universities, a lot of wealthy kids at the time joined the Cathars because they were disillusioned with conventional Roman Catholic belief. And so St. Francis and Catherine were both from wealthy families. And of course, they're running around in rough clothing, bare feet, vows of chastity and poverty, horrifying their families and friends. They were kind of like hippies. And they wiped them out. Yeah. I think they killed like 50,000 in one day, and I'm not exaggerating. Yeah. They sent the Crusaders, those guys, out after them.
Go kill the enemy. Who's the enemy? We are, but you don't need to know that. Go kill the other guys. So, yeah, interesting.
Well, talking about animals, isn't there something to talk regarding Kristi Noem and the puppy?
Yes,
and my question was, I mean, a lot of people are very upset about this. Did she basically ruin her chances to be VP?
We can only hope. Well, Trump hates dogs.
Yeah.
Of course he does. Of course, it's mutual.
So is the silver lining of this story that she ruined her chances?
Okay. I put it up so I don't forget the question halfway in.
Oh my God. The card I got was the one I thought I was going to get. I scare myself. Yeah.
I love when that happens.
Yeah. Okay.
I've started several times since the story came out to do a full-on reading on it and record it and post it. And every time I've sat down to try to read on it, I get so upset that I have to get up and walk away. It's like,
yeah. I couldn't even talk about it. Yeah.
I don't understand people who hurt animals, or children, or I just don't comprehend it. I mean, maybe because I spoil our animals. I mean, those are my babies.
No, I know why it is, Sherry. It's because you have a soul.
I hope so. Then I'm in good company because y'all do too. So,
do you remember the Baltimore Catechism? Sherry, do you remember the Baltimore Catechism?
No.
You were raised Catholic, right?
Yeah, sort of, kind of.
Oh, okay. So in Catholic school, there's this little paperback book with
a little C, and I went to
with all the all these rules about what Catholics believe, and we had to memorize it. It was ridiculous. But each chapter was about a different topic, like sin, right? And in the sin chapter, each chapter started with a little kind of pen and ink drawing to let you know what was going to happen in the chapter. And so your soul was a milk bottle full of milk. And if you committed a venial sin, which is, kind of like a misdemeanor, your milk bottle was tilted and had some black spots on it. And if you committed a mortal sin, which is like a felony, your milk bottle was empty. So I was just thinking when you said that about us having souls, my milk bottle's a little spotty. What'd you get, Nate?
All right, Seven of Swords. Not a very good start for her because obviously this has to deal with, not a good energy, just the idea of killing, the idea of, fighting, the idea of, it's just, people are upset about it. The Ace of Sword, again, another sword that's just not good in terms of how this is presenting the story. Another sword too, which would be Trump, King of Swords. And not happy about the negative press about it. Final card to me, that's the answer. The Hangman, or in her case, the Hangwoman. I would say that she's on the waiting list. She hasn't completely ruined her chances, but I feel like she's going back to the waiting list and they're looking at other options.
Okay. Well, I started out with 10 of staffs. So she looked at what she did as just her responsibility. That's what she was supposed to do. The dog wasn't training well, and she didn't like the dog, and she didn't take very good care at keeping the dog away from animals it was being trained to hunt and kill. And when it went and hunted and killed some of them, she killed the dog.
I think it killed some chickens.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, the thing that keeps coming back to me is what you couldn't have rehomed that dog to somebody that maybe would have cared about it. I mean,
do you know who Rick Wilson is? Okay, he helped start the Lincoln Project. Used to be a big Republican, and now he's absolutely the opposite. He was talking about it yesterday on his podcast, and he said, I've hunted all my life, and I've raised hunting dogs all my life, and let me tell you about this one hunting dog I have. I am gonna pretend the dog's name is Mary. He says Mary was useless. Mary was stupid. Mary wouldn't hunt right. She was untrainable. Do you think I took her out in the backyard and shot her? He said, no, Mary's sitting on the sofa over there playing with the cat.
That's what her purpose is.
Right.
And that's what I feel like from this little, and it was a puppy. I mean, every animal trainer that I've heard speak about this, whether if it's training animals to hunt or just general training, have all said a 14-month-old puppy is still too young.
Yeah.
It would be like taking your 2-year-old outside and shooting them.
Yeah, I was going to say, if I were her kids, I would be nervous. Yeah.
Talk about.
Yeah.
Well, I started out, like I said, with the 10 of staffs.
Right.
And then I pulled the moon, which is Mary. And that was just, it's like, I feel like what this is saying is she's got more stuff that's kind of undercover.
Yeah.
Things that she's done that I don't know if she really wants people to know about it. And somebody in the chat said that Trump was having an apprentice weekend at Mar-a-Lago to interview picks for VP, and that she was uninvited from going.
Oh.
So, but I ended with the Son, which is Jesus. And I just feel like this puppy's with him. He's hanging out with Jesus. So he don't care anymore. He's like, I'm the head guy. What do I care? But if we can screw her up in the process, yeah, Jesus, let's go. That's just what I'm hearing in my head is this dog talking to me saying, I'm with the head honcho. I don't really care. But if I can talk him into zinging her, I'll do it. So I feel like, I think she not only ruined her chances for VP, I think she ruined her chances, period, for any further public life. Because you had people both Democratic and Republican who were very upset about this. And the fact that one of her goats, which was an old goat, instead of just letting the goat retire and hang out in the pasture or whatever, no, she took it to the gravel pit and shot it too.
Oh, come on. Are you kidding me? So she's a psychopath.
Yeah, so this is like, that's how she gets rid of animals that she's got no more use for.
I know why.
Gravel pit and she shoots them.
I got cards on this. Let me show you this, okay? So we're talking about the political choice. Will she or won't she be chosen? And this situation has put her selection into question. Now he's evaluating all of the choices. But this is the last card I got, and I don't get the feeling that it might necessarily initially look like I got the Star. I don't think this means she's the Star. I think this is the impression I got. Donald Trump loves it. He loves the cruelty. He is allegedly also psychopathic. He likes sadistic stuff. He hates dogs. This appealed to him in a huge way, actually raised her in his esteem. But he's pragmatic and he has no loyalty to anybody but himself. So even though he really likes it, and I think she was signaling to him, I think she was trying to kiss up to him.
Yes.
You know, like, look at me. I'll shoot anybody you want. And allegedly, I'm not. I don't mean that, YouTube. I'm making fun of a crazy person. I do not advocate violence. Sorry, Sherry. But I think it was an appeal to look heartless, as similar as he, and may have, pardon the pun, backfired. Yeah.
I think he thought it was going to show her off as being this tough, responsible woman who took charge and dealt with things. And most people were just horrified.
Yeah.
Had it been a dog that was attacking one of her kids or another kid and
Yeah.
she had shot it to in defense, people would have said that was a smart thing to do.
Yeah, if it's a Rottweiler that kills a 2-month-old baby, okay, but
it's like the way that, and of course, with all the backlash, now every time I hear her say something about it, the story's changing. And she's trying.
She changed it a few times.
It's like, you got it in a book, darling. You can't change the story.
How has she changed it? I haven't heard anything. I haven't listened.
Just trying to make it sound more and more like the dog was uncontrollable and was attacking other animals. It's like, no, the dog killed a couple of chickens because you didn't secure him well in the truck you were in when you stopped at these people's house to go talk to them about voting for you. And
it wasn't her chickens, it was their chickens?
It was their chickens.
Oh, this is about ego. Oh, wow. Wow.
The dog was not secured properly in her truck. I don't know if it was in the cab or in the back, but it wasn't secured properly.
Wow.
Talk to some people. I believe the article said to talk to them about voting and whatnot. And the dog got out of the truck. They had big chicken coop. Evidently, they were chicken farmers. And the dog made a beeline. It was a bird dog. It was trained to hunt and kill birds. So it made a beeline for the chicken coop and started killing chickens because that's what it was being trained to do. Horrified, she takes the dog, hauls it back into the truck, and then takes it out to the gravel pit and shoots it in the face to kill it.
Saving her face. It's ego and
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Makes it even worse. It's worse.
It does. Exactly. And so, now she's trying to paint the picture of, well, it wasn't just the chickens that he was, going after. It was their kids or something. It's like, no, it wasn't.
No.
Because you'd have had that in the damn book if it had been their children that was going after them.
Why were the children in the chicken coop?
Thank you. I grew up half city kid, half country kid. In the week, I lived in the city. And on the weekends, I would go with my granddaddy to his parents' place, which lived way out in the country. And so Saturday and Sunday, sometimes Friday and or Monday, depending on school and stuff, it was up at 4 a.m. getting the eggs from the chicken coop, which nobody liked to do because the rooster was mean as hell. And,
they're scary.
helping to milk the cows and do this. And so I grew up doing that, it was a weekend thing, but I kind of had my foot in both worlds. And when I was in high school, my grandfather had horses, and we lived with my grandparents for a while. And that was my chore. Was I got up at 4 a.m. and I had to go out and muck out 4 stalls, get the horses put out in the pasture, get food put out for them, and then I went in the house and got a shower and got dressed for school. And that was my normal day, for the first, my freshman and sophomore year in high school, was taking care of the horses first, which was cool with me. I love horses. I didn't mind doing it, but I can't think of any time out of all the people I knew in the animal world, in the horse world, in the in the rodeo world, because we rode in the rodeo and stuff. I can't remember anybody doing that kind of stuff. I mean, even to animals that would, gore somebody, like, for the bull riders and stuff.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about white Christian nationalism. They're dominionists. They believe this sort of Christianity where Genesis, they cite Genesis, God the Father said to Adam, you have dominion over all the animals of the earth. So animals, you can do whatever you want, that because God gave them permission. That's what that nonsense is about.
I like what Lisa DeMar. I'm sorry I haven't been talking to y'all in chat very much, but I have been trying to read what you're writing. Y'all have me giggling.
Don't need a trigger happy thing. Oh, you mean like Dick Cheney? That's great.
Which is why everybody is scared to death of Liz Cheney, because her daddy will take you hunting. So beware. So that's why I think she was such an excellent pick. Nancy Pelosi was just absolutely brilliant in that pick of going to Liz Cheney first and saying, will you be in this commission? Because she knew that Liz was very offended by what had happened, because this is not the Republican Party the way her daddy ran it, and that most of the other Republicans were kind of scared of Liz Cheney because of how her daddy ran it, so I'm just saying, it's just my opinion only. But
people give Liz Cheney a lot of credit, and to a point I agree, but I have a gut feeling that there was a motivation behind it.
Oh, absolutely.
Indignation that, wait a minute, we had a plan and we had the power and you were upsetting that whole thing. And that's one of the reasons why she was as vocal as she was, because it was screwing up their agenda, her family and power broker agenda.
Yeah. Her daddy's been grooming her since day one to
hey, wait a minute.
I mean, W didn't have a VP pick. It was Cheney who went to him and said, I'll take care of everything. You're just the smiling face. You go out.
Well, Trump doesn't want a VP.
No.
I don't know why I just said that, because I can't cite.
He's already told us day one he's going to be a dictator.
Yeah.
It's like, you people don't listen.
Oh no, I know.
He's telling you what he's going to do. He's going to be a dictator. So dictators don't do it for one day and then go back to normal. No. That doesn't happen.
Well, there was Queen for a Day. Remember that?
Yeah.
Do you remember that show, Queen for a Day? Congratulations! You're Queen for a Day. You won a washing machine.
Queenly duties of laundry.
That's right. A vacuum cleaner. Hey, listen, I've been married a really long time. I've received household implements for birthdays and anniversaries.
I know my husband bought me a vacuum cleaner one year, and one of my co-workers got so offended for me that he gave me a vacuum cleaner, and I said, but that's what I asked for.
I joke. I'm not offended.
We need a new vacuum cleaner. My broke, so I want a vacuum cleaner. So that's what he went out and bought me. I mean, that's what I told him I wanted, and because I knew he wasn't going to go get the other stuff. I'll
tell you a sweet story about my husband, because I'm always ragging on him and making fun of him, and it's really not fair because he's wonderful. But we were having a conversation a couple of weeks ago, just casual passing conversation, and I was complaining because I had planted lavender 20 years ago and it finally died. Lavender doesn't last forever. It was beautiful for years and years and years. This winter dead as a doornail. And I was like, oh God, So for our anniversary, of course, I won't tell you what I gave him because it was nothing. For our anniversary, I'm making him a cake today. It's okay. He gave me 2 new lavender plants, and I had completely forgotten we had the conversation, completely forgotten, and he planted them, which is really the best part. I didn't have to do it because I hate working in the yard. So he, very thoughtful. So sometimes you can be very, very surprised. It's practical and yet thoughtful.
Yeah.
I would have killed for a new vacuum cleaner a couple of months ago.
I remember one year for Mother's Day, my husband and I went to Sears, and because my mom had been talking about my mom did a lot of carpentry work. She loved doing that. Her dad did carpentry work. My biological grandfather, the one that I normally talk about, was my granddaddy, my grandmother's second husband, but that's the one I grew up with. But her dad was a carpenter, and she just loved.
She inherited.
She inherited that love for it, and she was good at it. And she was griping and complaining because her circular saw had broke. It finally just gave up the ghost. It was done. It was so old. And so we went to Sears to go get her a new Craftsman circular saw for Mother's Day. And we went in there. We went to go buy it, and the guy said, "Oh, this is great. You're buying an early Father's Day gift for your husband." My husband looks at me and says, "Oh, no, this is for my mother-in-law for Mother's Day this weekend." And the guy just kind of looks at him and he says, "You're buying your mother-in-law a circular saw?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "Because she likes to build stuff and she's really good at it. So I figured I'd get her the best I could." I mean, the guy was just flabbergasted. I mean, we're talking back in the 80s, not that long ago, but he was just floored that this
people are very brainwashed. It's hard.
Yeah. His mother-in-law because she liked to build stuff, and so yeah, I mean, and my mother was just thrilled beyond belief when we presented it to her for Mother's Day. We went over to go see her, and she was living in Texas at the time. We were here in Louisiana, and she was living with her grandmother taking care of her, my great-grandmother. And she was just tickled beyond belief that he went and bought her a new circular saw.
It would make me nervous. My husband once bought us a wood chipper. And are you familiar with the story about the guy who murdered his wife and then took her into the backwoods and put her through the wood chipper?
Yeah,
but they were able to prove it. Wait, Nate, it gets worse. They were able to prove it because they searched, because what was left, and they found a tooth. So I was really nervous. I made sure my dental records were up to date.
Fargo.
Oh yes, that's where they got that idea. Yeah.
It was that, because I remember seeing that and thinking, "Oh my God, that's a horrible thing." I mean, he was already dead, but
still.
That was the one time I was glad the movie didn't show what was coming out of the thing. It just showed the leg at the top,
If you have not watched the 4 seasons of the show Fargo, not the movie, but the show, they're unrelated to each other. So the story is totally different characters, totally different plot, and they're all really good. The most recent, season 4, was with John Hamm. You know who John Hamm? And he plays a crazy rancher, white Christian national militia guy. He's fabulous. Oh my God. It is lunacy. And on each of the 4 different seasons, the storyline is crazy but great, fabulous. There's not one. The 3rd one is about, I'm trying to remember now.
Don't you know?
I think it's Kansas City in the 30s or the 40s, and it's a black community, and it centers around a family that owns a funeral home. But Chris Rock is one of the main characters, and he's a really good actor. It is good. Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. Have you seen it, Nate?
I've seen
No,
it.
no. I mean, I just like Chris Rock in general. Yeah. But I will
really good.
watching this show. Yeah.
Good writing, good acting, and I'm really picky. I hate everything, so it's really good, really, really good.
Yeah. He's been in a couple of movies. He was really good.
It's good.
So he's a good actor. Of course, his stand-up is really good too.
I always think of him as kind of young, because everybody looks young to me these days. But I was pleasantly surprised by his reaction to getting slapped in the face in public by Will Smith. Did you see his reaction? Did you hear how he reacted to it? Great poise and dignity.
He totally
Yeah.
his stuff together and just like
blew
it off and made a joke out of it. Like it was something planned.
And then later they were like, "Are you going to sue him?" And his response to that was great too. He was like, Why would I demean myself by even dealing with it? Yeah. Interesting.
Very interesting.
So no more burning questions?
We have a couple.
We want to help people out here.
We've got one that's asking about the poll here. Let's do a quick read on this one.
Dumpty is more favorable.
Joy Rico asks, what is with the polls saying 45 is more favorable?
Dumpty.
Because they're not accurate polls. I just read on that last night, but y'all can pull on it if you want.
Yeah, let's do a couple cards. I have.
We've been here an hour and 41 minutes, so I'm kind of really encroaching on y'all.
I have an opinion about everything, so it's a mistake to ask me any questions.
I love it. Magical Mermaid said, practical people want practical things. Brought to you by Hallmark Comedy. That's great.
It's a standoff. Nobody wants to put their foot in their mouth first. Come on, Nate.
Well, I'm going to be real quick because I got kind of the same idea that keeps coming here. King of Pentacles, lots of money. That was the 10 of Pentacles. King of Pentacles. So the idea is just those poles are obviously paid by someone. This someone is putting money. 3 of Wands to get a certain direction.
Mm-hmm.
And so by definition, they're just biased. That's all I'd say.
Yeah, I got, here comes the election, and you have a lot of, gotta be careful the word I use, like influence in the polls. They're, like you said, bias. They're looking for a particular answer. They're
Sure.
looking, right? He's not what they're purporting that he is at all. However, the Hierophant, I think people on the left want to minimize the support he has. And he actually has a lot of support from conservative, right-wing, religious type people, and sort of traditional conservative people who are outside the cities, living in, the exurbs. They're not really the suburbs, which are kind of middle class, and But people with money who buy some land and go live, outside the major metropolitan areas. So we don't see the people as much who support him. He has more support than we would like to believe. So I think we're going to have to really be careful of this white Christian. I know I harp on it, but this white Christian national thing, I think the polls are manipulated to a certain extent. They're biased, but he does have more support. It's going to be very close. Yeah.
I add one layer before, if you don't mind, Sherry, before you.
Go ahead.
I feel also that from the Democratic side, and I think this is something that I read, they could also do their own polls and show Biden ahead, and anyone can do their own polls. But there's also a positive to show Trump ahead to keep the vote going. And so I think it's playing different ways, because if you don't give a sense of danger, then people might stay home.
People get complacent.
You have to look at it really both ways.
Yeah.
People
think, I don't need to vote. He's going to win anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, but not if you don't vote.
I've said it 6 million times.
In our last election.
That's right. I'm going to say it again. If you don't go and vote Democrat all the way down the ticket, and I don't cling to a party usually, but in this case, if you don't vote Democrat all the way down, you might as well vote for Trump. If you vote for a third party, or if you stay home, it's a vote for Trump. And if you think that his whatever policy he claims appeals to you, that's going to make your life better, brace yourself, because you have no idea how bad it's going to get. I have a guest coming on who's an expert about this stuff, and the little I've read of her stuff, because I'm still working my way through it, is terrifying.
Yeah. I wasn't really going to draw anything, and I just picked the cards up to give them a shuffle, and this one literally jumped out of the deck. Justice.
Oh, well, let's hope.
So,
you know what they want to do? Here's an example. This is just so people don't think I'm just engaging in hyperbole because, I'm a doomsday sayer. They have said this. This is not me making this up. This is not extrapolation. They have literally said exactly this. They want to have representatives, not elected House of Representatives, just chosen people from red states who are going to be given the job federally of monitoring every woman's menstrual cycle in the country, so that you start your first period, you go on the register, and they follow it. And so if you get pregnant, they quickly figure it out, right, for most people. And you will be closely monitored. You won't be allowed to leave the state. You won't be allowed to travel. And they've said they're going to do that.
They allegedly had a heyday with me back when I was first hit puberty, because mine was all over the place.
Ooh. You mean unpredictable, right? that gave me some images, Sherry. I really didn't want. Yeah, it is. It's crazy, but.
And then I'd go 3 months with nothing, and then
it shows their lack of understanding too. It reflects their ignorance as well as their desire to control women. It's crazy, but this is what they want to do.
Exactly.
These are the same people who are advocating for genital checks in high schools before people are allowed to be on a sports team, to make sure that you're on the right sports team. I would have been a dropout because there's no way I was going to talk. It's nuts. It's just crazy.
And who do you think will be applying for those jobs?
Well, yes.
Starts with a P and ends with an IL.
Yep, you're right. I don't know why I'm laughing. It's just you have to laugh, because if you don't, you're going to cry.
Yeah, exactly. You have to laugh, or else
it's ludicrous. Yeah.
No. I heard that loud and clear. No. if Trump sold secrets to other countries, will any come forward and rat him out? Oh, hell no, because that's going to put them in trouble.
That's right. Yeah. And it would wreck their system for the next time. You know, their little secret ways of doing things, spycraft. You know, they don't want to reveal anything. Yeah.
Exactly. Somebody's asking, will Trump be put in some sort of timeout during or as a result of the trial in New York? I keep waiting for the judge to throw his butt in timeout room. But,
well, they mean like the outcome of the trial, guilty, not guilty. If he's found guilty, is that what you mean?
No, I think it's more if he. I think the question from Joy, if he what's the word, goes against the gag order one more time,
it continues to be disruptive.
I think it might be both. So if he goes against the gag order, I think. Let's look at the card.
Oh, could be both. Yeah, could be both.
Was it yesterday, day before yesterday, to the press and said, "Oh, it's a gag order. You know, now he won't let me testify. You know, because of the gag order, I can't testify." The found out that he said that, and then came back into the courtroom after a break or whatever.
It's embarrassing.
Just striking.
It's embarrassing, isn't it?
Testify. We are more than happy to allow you to testify.
Right.
Yes. He said the gag order covers you talking about da 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 da, and he named it all off. He says, so let's not be lying to the press, please. Tell them the truth. And it just shut Trump up. He didn't say another word. I mean, but
it was a very bad day for him with the Hope Hicks testimony. Was actually a lot more came out of her testimony.
She broke down on the stand and started crying and stuff. She was.
I guess it validated that his concern was the election and not everybody knowing what he was up to. Yeah, with like sexual stuff. Yeah. So look who I got when we're talking about Trump. I always get this. It's bizarre. So I'm covering some stuff up here, but the Lovers, I get the sense of justice. If he doesn't cooperate, yes, they will put him in time on the naughty chair.
What they used to call the baby room in church back in the day.
The crying room.
The crying room.
I spent a lot of time in crying rooms when I was a kid because of younger siblings. Yeah.
Go ahead, Nathe.
5 of Cups and 5 of Swords. This is actually very likely that something happens because, it's you look at it, it's like this guy like killed someone and now has to hide, and it's almost like looking at their little pond here and say, what did I do? We don't know which form this is going to take, but the best way I think to describe it is a form of isolation. Yeah.
Maybe house arrest, but I don't know. I think it needs to be, that's not enough.
No, and it could be just for an hour.
Yes, that. I have heard experts talking about this, and I hate to say this. In answer to the question, would he also maybe be sequestered or incarcerated if he's found guilty? Joy, I hate to say this, but the prevailing opinion of legal experts is that given the nature of the charges, given the fact that it's technically his first offense, and given his age, he would not see jail time. That just won't happen.
It might help. I don't expect this to happen. I don't see this happening. But in my opinion, I see him, if they just put him one night, say in Rikers, just one night, you really gonna push it? Boom. Go spend the night over in Rikers. Could you imagine?
The Secret Service would have to go in with him.
Well, they've already. That's part of their plan. How are they
Yes,
going to
that
protect
is
him from
true.
prison? They've
They
already
have
got
worked on
plans
a
drawn up.
plan. I agree, Sherry.
Yeah.
Are they going to send him to Guantanamo?
I don't know.
Because he'd be safer there, you know.
Yeah.
Just the whole thing is just, I can't believe we're having this conversation, you know. It's
too many foreign gangs in the prisons who would get orders to be done with him because of what he might reveal if he gets put in prison.
Yeah.
It's not just that he would, be a danger to people, but it's the people that he's done dirty deeds with that would not be comfortable with him behind bars because they know he can't keep his mouth shut.
I imagine the worst punishment would be if they put an ankle monitor on him and sent him to live with Eric and Laura.
And took away his phone.
Pardon?
Take away his phone.
Oh, be great. Oh well. We're not supposed to enjoy this. That
gleeful about it, but I'm sorry, I can't help it.
I know.
I'm going to be gleeful when I think the thought that wouldn't that be lovely to see.
It's so common a human instinct. The Germans had a special word for it, Schadenfreude, right, Nate? Schadenfreude.
Yeah.
You can't avoid it. It's like envy or jealousy. It's just difficult to not ever have those feelings. But we can't wish him ill luck or his lessons are his lessons. We're not supposed to be reveling in his misfortune because it all karma, it all comes back.
Yeah.
Well, and we as a people across not just our country but other countries as well, we've got lessons to learn from this.
That's right.
When he got elected and started pulling his shenanigans from day one, the people in the U.S. were horrified. Like, oh my God, I can't believe he's doing this. The people in Europe and stuff were like, hold the phone. This is not good. And then they turned around and looked around and they started seeing a lot of their own leadership that was right in cahoots with him.
Yeah.
And it prevented those people from getting elected.
True.
Imagine being a NATO country right now. They're probably equally, if not more, worried about the results of our election than we are.
For sure.
Absolutely.
This could be existential for a lot of places, just.
I think it's being discussed in the news.
Losing nights of sleep over it, If he gets back in, their goose is cooked. I mean,
who's goose? Ukraine. Oh.
I mean, unless it's a done deal and Putin decides to take that long trip, probably south. If you get my meaning.
Oh, you mean that horrible disease that only happens? That terrible disease that only happens in Russia, which my husband has diagnosed as defenestrationitis. Seems to be contagious in Russia.
Yeah, for sure. So that's it.
That's the questions? That's the end?
I'm sure I probably missed some, and I apologize if I did. We were just having too much fun talking. That's why I like reading with y'all, because you make me laugh.
Aw, thank you. Well, it's Saturday morning here. There's no good cartoons.
We got Nate with his wings and his aura around him, and we got Helen with her beautiful heart behind her. And
did you see this great picture, Nate, of Sherry?
I know.
Isn't that great?
One.
Yeah.
Michelle Marie of Astrological Tarot. She's also a digital artist.
Oh,
she does that kind of thing. That's
wow.
Love it.
We were talking, and I was talking about, I've had this picture in my head for 3 years of what I want my logo to look like, but I can't seem to get it across to anybody, and I can't draw to put it down on paper to try to get it done. And she was like, "Oh, well, let me think about it." I'm like, "Okay, I'll hire you, man. If you can make a good logo, yeah." 3 days later, she sends me
Wow.
a picture and says, "Is this what you were looking for?" And I was like, "Oh my God,
Wow.
Wow.
that's the picture in my head." I mean, it had a different face on it, that because she didn't have a picture of my face when she did the original.
Yeah.
And then we kind of tweaked it some, and she added this and added that, and we put she put the egret in the background, and then a
Yes.
gator in the background, and she put fleur de lis around the staff. And I said, "Oh, leave the plantation house in the back because that'll put me in both worlds, civilization."
As close as you're going to get to a mansion.
Anyway,
Well, Trump should hire her to do the courtroom artistry, because the drawings that are coming out of that courtroom of him are a nightmare. Have you seen them?
What
yeah,
is the
they're really
card that you're
bad.
holding? In the drawing, what is the card that you're holding? It
Oh, good
looks like a
question.
tarot card, but
I'd have to
I
look at
can't
the
see that
I'd have
far.
to look at the
no,
picture.
no.
Wait, I don't.
It actually looks like one of the mystical Tarot of the Saints cards, doesn't it?
It
don't
feels
know.
to me like the High Priestess, but I don't know if that's the one.
Ooh.
Yes, it would be a good fit.
Wait, where is it at?
Oh, the Empress might be good.
Yes, also.
Let's see.
It's really pretty. It's hard to see, huh?
Yes,
Let
it's
me see if I can share screen and
Blow it up, yeah.
show a blow up of it.
Oh, I should move this. Mary's all blocked out. You can see all my electrical wires.
Oh, window. Here we go. Okay.
Oh,
wow.
I swear that's your deck of cards, Nate.
I don't think there's one that looks quite like that though.
Woohoo!
I can't tell what card that is. I'll have to ask her what card she used.
It's beautiful.
Really
It feels
pretty.
almost,
Such a good.
yeah.
She put the egret there, and then the gator, and then she put like the orbs of light to kind of symbolize the fairies and the whatever else may be floating around in the swamp. I said, "Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff in the swamp."
It has this real mystical, magical
Yes.
feel to it. Yeah.
And
Beautiful.
and then the picture she had originally was, just a generic face. I said, "Well, can you morph my face in there?" She said, "Yeah, send me a couple pictures." So she did, and the one that she liked I had done an AI thing with a couple of my pictures, and it had me with long hair, and I said, "Oh, that's kind of cool." And so
That's
that's what
really
she
cool.
did. So,
Is
Yeah.
there an alligator behind you?
yeah, over here.
That's what I thought it might be. Oh God! You need to get out of there quick.
Right there, and then a egret there, and then just she put the fleur de lis around the.
It's beautiful. I love that.
Beautiful.
I swear, when she brought it to me, I was just floored
It's
Yes.
because I
beautiful.
didn't really have the opportunity to
Go into detail. Yeah.
Yeah.
go into detail. She had said, "Well, why don't you send me an email and just describe what you want?"
Oh,
I'm like, "Okay." So I was still working on the email, trying to figure out how to explain what I wanted when she sent me the original picture with a generic face in it. Said, "Is this what you're looking for?" And I was like, "Oh my God, you must be
is she
crazy."
psychic?
Oh yes, she's very
Oh
psychic.
well, there you go. She read your mind. Yeah.
And she does Vedic astrology as well. She
Oh, very cool.
practices the Hindu with the chanting, the mantras, and all that. I mean, she can drop a mantra on you that fast.
Oh, well, I've decided that astrologers are particularly intelligent. It's just so much stuff to know. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's too much.
That's what she does. And
wow.
She is for hire. If anybody wants to hire a graphic artist, contact Michelle Marie at Astrological Tarot. She's on YouTube. And
what's her name again?
Michelle Marie. And her channel is Astrological Tarot. It's in the description box below because I give her credit for the picture. So and because it's like wow, and so I added the writing at the top and the bottom and I have different versions with different things on it. Some stuff is in French and some stuff is in English, and so I was just playing around with it.
Sacre bleu.
Yep.
That's it. That's my entire vocabulary.
Oui, monsieur.
Zut alors. Oh, merde. All right, Sherry, I hate to do this. I have to go. Pardon?
Yeah.
Pardon?
I look at some of the words and I can read them, but I can't pronounce them. So,
Well, they probably resonate genetically, familiar.
I grew up hearing Cajun French. A lot of my granddaddy's family spoke French first, English second. So I grew up listening to it.
That's so cool. It's wonderful. So good for your brain.
I keep saying I'm going to take a class. They offer classes where I work at the university to learn Cajun French, which is different than French.
What's stopping you?
Canadian French. I just haven't had the time.
Oh, you need to do that.
But I'm like, maybe this summer I'll do it. I think it's like a 6-week class or something. You meet like
piece of cake. You could do it. Yeah. I bet you'd be shocked by how much comes back to you.
Probably so. I mean, I'd probably sit there and be like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah. My great grandmother used to say that.
Je reviens. Okay. Okay. Before I really humiliate myself, I have to go. Thank you. And thank you for all the questions, everybody. That's so nice. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, chat. I'm sorry I didn't converse with you as much as I normally do. Come back tonight at 11 p.m. Central, and I'll talk to you. You're sick of hearing me. Because that's all we do is talk and throw cards. And tonight's ghost story night. I gotta go look up ghost stories.
Thank you, Sherry.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it. Thank you, Nate. Nice to see you. It's been a while.
Yes, I
know. Au revoir.
Back on the 18th, my dear.
Pardon me?
I said, we've got a date on the 18th.
Oh, I'm sure we do. I have to check it 6 times a day to remember on the hour. And then I have these moments of panic when I think, oh my God, I've forgotten something, and okay.
Party, 5K party or whatever it is she's doing starts at the same time we start, because she was asking me, and I said, well, I'll ask Helen. Maybe we can start like 15 minutes late and we'll both pop in early.
I don't think you've mentioned this to me. I don't have
I just said something to her the other day.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank God. I thought I'd lost my mind again.
Let you think about it. So,
okay, I'll just put Sherry down. We don't know the time yet, right?
It is 5 my time, or 3 p.m. your time.
3, and it's May 18th?
Yes, ma'am. It's a Saturday.
And it's me that's gonna. Okay, I have to go. Thank you, everybody. It's been so much fun. My face hurts from laughing. Bye. Bye.
Bye.